Welcome to the lecture series of Sedimentology and Stratigraphy. So today we are doing part 2 of sequence stratigraphy. Initially we started with the learning about the definition of sequence stratigraphy, that what it is, what relationship it tells about. So it tells about the relationship between sea level and sedimentation, right? Or you can say the sediment change. So when you develop kind of a correlation between both of these variables or parameters or factors, you can say, so it is known as sequence stratigraphy. Basically, this sea level is known as eustatic sea level. Eustacy is the another term. Then sedimentation, and the third variable, tectonic, uplift, or tectonic subsidence, because when there is a horizontal or vertical movement of crust because of a single fault, you can say, or because of any of the tectonic activity, so there is a change in sea level itself, right? So that results in either forming more of sediments, or you can say deprival of the sediments. It depends on what of the phenomena is going on, right? So after that we discussed, when these three variables are presented, there are five certain scenarios which are formed, right? Whether there is sea level rise or fall to these factors, whether there is tectonic upliftment or subsidence to these, and something related to sedimentation, whether sedimentation is there or not, whether it is increasing or not. Okay, so these are the five scenarios which form, and we discussed the palm tree example, with which we realized that it is very difficult to distinguish between certain scenarios, because when you go to field or when you see that there is a certain lithology present over there, or there is a succession present over there, it is very difficult to deduce what was the background or what might have taken place, right? So you need to demonstrate, or you need some kind of sample from where you can demonstrate that what kind of activity has taken place. So if it is telling you that two of these activities might have taken place, so that's kind of confusing, right? So in that case, relative sea level or relative base change, you can say base level, is the terminology which we use. Basically, in reference to this, we talk about whether there was upliftment or subsidence, and mainly we talk about the sea level, whether there was rise or whether there was fall, and because of this, whether that palm tree example which we were discussing, it has drowned or it has been on a land where it is uplifted and it is dry, right? So on the basis of this, we discussed first of all that how a transgression takes place, because first we had to discuss about the changes in the shoreline, right? Whether it was moving landwards or seawards. So if it was moving landward, it was known as transgression. If it was moving seawards, it was known as regression. But there was a huge discussion between regression and forced regression. Why so? Because in forced regression, there was a sea level fall, right? And there was an erosional surface which was developed. Whereas if I talk about just regression, the sea level was constant and it was all due to sedimentation, right? So that is how the feces were formed, and we analyzed the succession representing the feces. Feces analysis was done, then the strata was completely studied and analyzed, that what was the depositional environment in which it was formed, which resulted in knowing the character of the sediment, because that in turn would tell you that what kind of phenomena had taken place. Okay, so in all these we learned about how was the pattern, specifically if there was retrogradational, because transgression leads to retrogradational patterns and regression leads to progradational patterns. Okay, then we also saw that, let me erase this, that if sea level is in equilibrium with the sediment supply, then what will happen? No feces shift will take place. It will be stagnant, constant. Okay, so when you will see a succession, if here is offshore, again offshore will be there, again offshore will be there. You understood? So what is happening? That same kind or same nature of lithology will be observed one above another, and this is nothing but it is known as aggradation. So these were some of the factors which we discussed in last lecture, right? And these are very important because these are some of the jargons which are used, or you can say technical terms which are used in sequence stratigraphy, because afterwards when we will study system tracks, or if we study a depositional sequence, you will have to use this terminology, right? So now let's see today what we are going to talk about. As I told you, we talked about changes to shoreline, sea level and sedimentation, transgression, regression and post regression, right? So today we are going to start with accommodation concept.